So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today, especially on a beautiful day like today. We really appreciate it. My name is Stephanie Buchkowski. I'm Director of Admissions at Niagara University, and just really enjoy these events, especially as it's getting close to while you guys are making your decisions and things like that, which is great. So first, I want to say to those who have made a decision and have decided to attend Niagara, congratulations. Cannot wait to welcome you to campus. If you haven't yet, I'm not sure what you're waiting for, so please make sure that you get your deposit in so we can get things moving for you. I always just kind of put the spin on it as if you and your family know this is where you want to be, don't hesitate in waiting. Submit the deposit, get things moving for you so that you can start. Oh,
It's fun.
so that you can start getting communication as a committed student, and you can register for summer orientation and things like that. So just in terms of that, it's important, to kind of get things moving. I'm going to turn it over in a little bit to who we have with us tonight, which is the main purpose of the event in terms of financial aid and student accounts, and some very important questions as the FAFSA has really kind of been a mishap for everybody and delayed a lot of things. So please, as we're moving through, we do have a PowerPoint for you, and that will all be gone over. So any questions that you might have, we'll save to the end. So please put them in the chat, which I'll kind of field those out as the time comes. I'll kind of go through that with the question and answer part. I just want to mention a few things, kind of shameless plugs for us, at least from the admissions office. So those of you who have deposited already know about this and have certainly received emails about it, but it's our Purple Perks program. So those of you that are aware, there are certain items that you would receive if you have deposited by a certain time. And the next deadline to deposit, if you would like to receive an iPad and a hoodie when you arrive to campus, is May 31st. So I encourage you to submit that deposit if you want to get things in by then, and get those things given to you when you arrive on campus. So any of the purple perks that you have qualified for, if you deposited a long time ago or just recently, you will get all of those things when you arrive on campus. So just something to make clear for the purple perks portion of things. If you are looking to visit again, or if you haven't yet, which hopefully most of you have, we do have an event coming up on Tuesday. It's called Taco Tuesday, and food's excellent, great vibe. Really, it's very kind of low key, but some great information, kind of about next steps about campus. If you haven't deposited yet, you can do so on the spot that day as well. But we go over all those kinds of things and about the welcome portal that you need to log into, more about some orientation. We'll have someone from orientation there that can talk about some things and the next steps for that part of everything for you in terms of the next steps. So, please make sure if you're able to make it, that would be great. It's from 4 to 6 on the Tuesday coming up. So if you're able to make it, that would be great. We have 48 days until some orientation, which are some of the by far the most fun days on campus. So, mark that date down. And if you haven't looked at our next.niagara.edu website, I will put that in the chat for you. That is where you can access where to do your welcome portal and activate your Purple Pass, do your deposit, and then also register for summer orientation. So you can do all of those things in that area. So I'll make sure I put that in the link for you to follow if you need any information with that. So with all that being said, that's really kind of all I wanted to say to you, and just thank you again for joining us. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to kind of who's spotlighted tonight, and let them introduce themselves, and they can kind of take it from there. So thanks, everyone. Go ahead.
Thanks, Stephanie. Hello, everybody. My name is Katie Kosis. I'm the Director of Financial Aid here at Niagara University. I'll let Jacob introduce himself as well. We will be presenting just a quick kind of overview of next steps for financial aid and student accounts stuff. And then if you have any questions, again, I see some already coming in, so throw them in the chat and we'll be happy to go over anything that maybe we didn't get to. Jacob?
And I'm Jacob Copera. I'm the Director of Student Accounts, and I'll talk to you about billing and how all of that works.
All right, I'm going to start sharing, so hang on one second. Let me screen. Okay, everybody see my, Stephanie, Jacob, you can see my screen? Perfect. Okay. All right, so the first thing, even before we kind of get to this, is if you haven't already filed your FAFSA form, if you're a U.S. citizen and have not filed your FAFSA form, please do so as soon as possible. I know Stephanie called it a mishap. That's a very kind word for what happened this year with FAFSA. It's really been, some might say, a disaster, and how late everything and all the issues. So we have gotten through the bulk of all those issues, and a lot of it has been corrected. There's still some outstanding stuff for a handful of students. But if you haven't yet completed your FAFSA, do so as soon as possible. If you need help with it, reach out to my office. We'll be more than happy to walk you through it, maybe set up an appointment, virtual, in person, whatever works, to get that completed. If maybe you've done your FAFSA but haven't yet received a financial aid offer from us, we're pretty much up to date with, besides the ones that came in within the last week or so. So if it's been a little bit and you haven't received a financial aid offer from us, please be sure to reach out. We'll look into it. If we were waiting for something, if maybe a correction needed to be made or something, we did email students to their personal emails. So make sure they go back and check that. But feel free to reach out and we'll check on it for you if you haven't yet received it. But assuming that 95% of the students have received their financial aid offers in the mail, they also received an email letting them know that it was ready to be viewed in their portal, their self-service portal. So they got it emailed, and also a hard copy was mailed out. The big packet, you really can't miss it, in the mail. But assuming you got all that, the first step is to, of course, review it. Within that packet was a cost breakdown of your direct cost for what will be remaining after grants and scholarships and after loans, if you take those, and maybe if you had a work study or something in there. So that was sent out with those breakdowns. So you should have a good idea of what the remaining balance would be, and if it is something you're able to to make work. So make sure you go on there and review it. Students can accept or reject their aid on the self-service portal. Now, all grants and scholarships are really automatically kind of accepted, except maybe some New York State funds, which are going to see like an estimated status. You can't accept those directly on the portal. But loans and work study, if those are in your financial aid offer, will be in an offered status, and students have to go in and tell us whether or not they'd like to accept those or reject them. So that's the option that they have. What you can also be doing right now is reviewing any scholarships, our endowed scholarships available on our SOS portal, which is the Scholarship Opportunity Search portal. Students were emailed this a while back, so they might have missed it or whatnot, but they can go directly onto our financial aid site, Scholarship Opportunity Search, this little symbol, click on there. It's also through their MyNU account, can log in, and they will browse. We have over 200, probably getting close to 250 different endowed and current use scholarships that students can apply for. Some are for returning students, but there's a lot that are eligible for incoming students. And some things are going to be based upon stuff that we have no idea, based upon solely just having the FAFSA, if they attend a certain church, or, maybe they are involved in a specific activity or ethnic background. Like, there's a ton of them on there. So please be sure to be checking that out. We haven't really started awarding these yet. Hopefully, really dive into it next month as we try to play catch up with everything due to all the delays. So you still have time. Students, still go ahead and apply for that. All right, next steps. If you're deposited, you should be reviewing like your welcome portal. Within the welcome portal is the FERPA form. Please be sure that students if you're on the call, add your parents or guardians in this. This will allow our offices, whether it's records, student accounts, financial aid, academics, discuss your information with your parents or your guardians once you become a student. So once you become a student, it's we can really only communicate with you unless you've given us permission to have other people on your FERPA. And then also review the checklist in self-service. Again, this is financial aid, but there's also many other things on there within the self-service portal. And I think I have an example. Yep. So when you log in, or the student logs in to self-service, this is an example of some of the things that they will see. Financial aid is where they're going to want to click. And once they are in there, they'll be taken to a screen similar to this, where you have a drop-down box. It'll tell you if there's any missing required documents, their offer letter they can view, their financing plan, all that good stuff. And then the actual checklist will be down here, and kind of giving, okay, we have your FAFSA. Are you packaged? Do you, need to review and accept your aid? If you're accepting your loans, you need to do your master promissory note, your entrance counseling. So it really does give the full checklist of what items that are still outstanding. If they are going to view their individual awards, they can of course view their actual offer letter, a version of it that was sent in the packet that was mailed out. It'll look very similar, but it will break it down into grants and scholarships, and then loans, then potentially work study. So again, they need to review that to determine whether or not they would like to accept that or not. Also, in the required document section, one of the things that really all students who filed a FAFSA will see is to create their mobile financial aid account. This is everyone who files a FAFSA needs to have this completed. It allows for secure upload of sensitive information, whether it's taxes, W-2s, court paperwork, whatever we might ask for. This is where students and parents would upload it. So students need to create their account using their Purple Pass ID, which they should already have that information, in their accept packet. Niagara.studentforums.com is where you can go directly, but again, there's a link within their self-service. And once the students create their account, any required task will be opened up. Now, this year, because of the verification process from the federal government, they really haven't selected a ton of people this year due to all the craziness going on. So this year you might not have anything really open up in this portal, but moving forward, when verification starts to pick up again in future years, this would be where you would upload those documents. And this is just an example of, again, what they would see if they had a form outstanding, and once they complete it, it'll say, congratulations, you've submitted it, it's off to being reviewed, nothing else you have to do in the meantime. Now, I mentioned accepting or rejecting loans earlier. If the student wants to reject the loans, great. They go into their portal, self-service, they reject them. It goes to me, I review it, make sure that everything's in order, and approve the rejection. If they want to take the loans, they have to accept them in the portal. And there's 2 additional things that they have to do for this. They have to do an entrance counseling and a master promissory note. The entrance counseling is like a tutorial on the rights and responsibilities of having a loan. And the master promissory note is where they're going to put down some references for like contact information for, down the road. Again, also saying, that they know that they're taking out the money, they'll have to repay it back, within the time frame. Both of these are online things. Studentaid.gov is where the students will go. It is in the student's name. It is their loan, so they will be completing the forms. Same website you went to for the FAFSA, studentaid.gov is where you would go for that. Now, the loans will not be credited. These are federal loans we're talking about. The federal loans will not be credited to the student's account until both of these requirements are completed. So, Jacob will talk about it a little bit later for when you get looking at the bill, but they are kind of be at pending. They will stay down at pending until both of these things are completed, along with the actual acceptance of the loan. Okay, a few other things. For New York State residents, if you are, again, attending Niagara and you're a New York State resident, you should also apply for your TAP application or your New York State funding. This is hesc.ny.gov is the website you will go to for this. It is a separate application. Now, normally, you can kind of directly link from the FAFSA form and have that information kind of filled out, directly from the FAFSA. That wasn't an option available this year. The link is still there. You can go directly to the site, but you have to fill out the entire separate application without having any of the information from the FAFSA kind of come on over. So if you have not done so already, please be sure to complete your TAP application at hesc.ny.gov. Our school code is there, 0560. You will need to add that in order to have the money come to Niagara. And I highly encourage everyone to do it. They just increased the amount, well, 2 things. They increased the minimum amount of the TAP grant from 500 to 1,000 for the year, so that's great. But they also increased the amount of people who are eligible for it. So the income cutoff used to be 80,000 New York State net taxable. It's now 125,000. So that really is, quite a large jump. So if maybe before you thought you might not have been eligible for that because you were above the 80, well, now if you're below the 125, please be sure to go back and complete that TAP application. They're still working on all the things behind the scenes on the state end to have that updated for it to go through for approval. But it should be, you will still be allowed to complete the actual form, and then approval for it will come later down the road in the summer. All right, level tuition plan is another thing I wanted to talk about for any freshman students. This is something that you would potentially be able, or you are able to sign up for. What it does is it locks the tuition rate in for 4 consecutive years. So normal tuition is going to be 37, 190. I think, oh, there's a, hang on, 18,850 times 2. Yes, so there's a little typo there. I'll have to fix that on the one end, but normal tuition is going to be 37,190 for the year. If you sign up for the level tuition plan, you pay $510 more, so that will be 37,700 for this year. But the thing is that then for your sophomore, junior, and senior years, your tuition stays at 37,700, while regular tuition continues to most likely go up, typically between 2 to 4% every single year. So it's a really good thing as an investment, and to also know for budgeting purposes moving forward. I'm a Niagara grad. When I went to school for my undergraduate studies, my parents signed me up for the level tuition plan. So we've been doing it for many, many, many years. But I highly recommend considering signing up for this if you know you're going to be at Niagara for the 4 years. It's really a good idea to help for budgeting. Now, it's only for tuition. It does not touch fees or housing and meal plans. All those are subject to any rate increases, but it does lock the tuition in. Now, you do have to be deposited in order to sign up for this. Once the student is deposited, it is in their admissions welcome portal, which I think is on the next screen. Yep, in their admissions welcome portal on the left-hand side, midway down, it will say level tuition plan contract. Click on that, complete it. If the student is under the age of 18, so if they're 17 or younger,
You actually had this box.
It is 17 or younger. They will need a parent signature as well. So the student will do their electronic portion, and they will get they can print a physical copy for the parent to sign and return to us. If they're 18 or older, they don't have to worry about having a parent sign off on it. All right, I'm going to turn over to Jacob, talk about billing and payments before I think at the end I talk about loans, and then we'll open up for any questions.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. So we bill on a semester basis here at Niagara. So your student will have a bill for the fall semester that runs August through December, and then there will be another bill for the spring semester that runs January through May. So typically for the fall and the spring semester, payment due date is 1 week before the start of classes. And what that means is that you need to have everything in place by that due date. So all of those items that Katie discussed, filing the FAFSA, submitting any forms, submitting your TAP application, signing for your loans, all of that stuff should be ready to go before the payment due date. So that way, once we are able to apply financial aid to your student's account, it goes onto the account and is applied toward the balance without any issues. And then if there is any type of out-of-pocket balance after financial aid, like scholarships, grants, and loans that would be due, you would either need to remit payment in full for that semester 1 week before the semester starts, or on or before that date, you would enroll in one of our payment plans. There's a small application fee of $25, which is non-refundable, but that allows you to split the balance into 4 equal payments throughout the semester. So the fall payment plan runs from August through November, and the spring payment plan would run from January through April. So it's nice because it can help you budget things a little bit, and then you can break up the semester balance. All students that would be studying through our US campus, so they would access our billing platform through TouchNet US. So all of our billing is electronic. So everything sent out from the student accounts office pretty much goes to the student's NU email address, because at that point they are a student. So once students are logged into the billing portal, they can do a number of things. Could you advance to the next slide, please, Katie? Thank you. So once you're logged into that billing portal, and like I said, everybody they're attending the Lewiston campus in the United States, so you would be logged into TouchNet US. So you can do a number of things there. The first thing I recommend that all students do if somebody else is viewing the bill, whether it's a parent, guardian, anybody that needs access to the billing plan, that they add the authorized payers as an authorized user. So they would need to know your email address, and then you would get a unique authorized user link. And then you're able to sign into their billing portal and make payments and pretty much do everything on their behalf. And what's nice about that too is anytime we send a billing notification, which is typically once per month toward the middle of the month, you would receive that notification too. So you'll be able to view billing statements, you'll be able to view account activity. We usually run like what we call a static bill once per month. So it's like what the account looked like on that date at that time. But then you can also view real-time account activity. You can see their schedule on the bill. So you can kind of check that for accuracy. You can make payments right on there. You can set up payment plans. You can save payment methods, and your student can actually add banking information. So if there's ever a payment from excess loan funds or an overpayment, we can direct deposit that right into their bank account. The only exception would be like if it was a Parent Plus loan and it needs to be a paper check mailed to the parent. Can you go to the next slide, Katie? So I'll talk about this in just a moment, but basically going back to different payment methods and whatnot, online we accept electronic check, which is essentially you're putting in your routing number and your bank account number from your checking or savings account, or you can pay by credit card. There are credit card fees associated with like the payment processor charges that. So we always recommend if the payment's ultimately coming out of your bank account, don't use your debit card, put in your routing number and everything. So that way you don't have any additional charges. That saves you from mailing a check to our office, saves you a stamp. And you can save your payment methods. So if you need to have it come out automatically, or even if you're paying once per semester, you don't have to retype all of your information in there. And within our billing system, there are options for international students to make payments. So if your payment is coming from outside of the United States, so whether it's coming from Canada or Great Britain or any number of countries, you can pay in your home currency, and you would tell that processor how much you want Niagara to receive in US funds. They would show you what the conversion is right up front, and you would also be able to see exactly what you're paying in your home currency. They'd process the payment in your home currency and convert it for you and send it to Niagara in US funds. So it's all done for you. So it's a really nice process. All of our students are automatically enrolled in the First Aid Book Program. So we have partnered with our Barnes & Noble bookstore right on campus. So typical freshman students, they're going to be full-time students. You're going to see a charge of $255 each semester, and it's called First Aid Books. And all required textbooks and course materials that are requested by professors through the bookstore, so even like access codes and whatnot, it's all ready for students by the first day of class. It goes off of what their schedule is in the system, and the bookstore will basically box everything up for the student, and the student goes there and picks up the books once they're on campus, and it's all ready for them. It's textbook rentals, so they basically do have to be brought back at the end of the semester, but you will save a ton of money enrolling in that program typically. If a student wants to purchase back one or multiple textbooks, they can certainly do that at the end of the semester for like an additional fee with the bookstore. So even if they do have some books they want to keep, they can always purchase those back from the bookstore. So that's not a problem. If a student wants to opt out of the First Aid Book Program, they can do that during the first week of class right on their MyNU, and then we'll see that, get them opted out of the program, and then the charge will be reversed from their account. So reasons that you may opt out of the program is if the books that you need are less than the $255, you can purchase them basically outside of the program at the opt-out rate, or if you're buying books online or whatnot and you are getting them cheaper, by all means opt out of the program, so then you can just purchase outside of the program. And that's something you can choose to do each and every semester. So if you're in the program one semester and then you want to opt out next semester, that's certainly an option. And then always just keep in mind they have to be returned at the end of the semester unless the student's arranging to purchase them back. And we can go to the next slide, please. One thing I do want to mention briefly is the university does have a health insurance mandate for all US based students. So if you have your own health insurance, if your student has their own health insurance, or they are on your health insurance and they are a US based student, they can opt out of the health insurance plan, and that charge will get reversed from their bill. So everybody, when you get your first bill in July, so we typically upload our initial bill electronically to the system by mid-July, you will more than likely see a health insurance charge of about $2,850. So that's for the year. And if your student has health coverage within 50 miles of Niagara University, that covers them within 50 miles of the university, then they can opt out of the insurance plan. And then once the waiver is processed, it does take about 14 business days for information to go to the health insurance company, the broker, for them to review it, verify everything. You have to have like upload a picture of your insurance card. Then they'll send the information back to us so we can get the charge off of the plan. So it's very, very important that that's something that you do. You can start doing that once you see the charge on your bill. So it'll be too early to do that now, but once the bill comes out in July, and you'll have about 60 days roughly to opt out. The deadline is September 30th. For just to keep in mind, just something to mention, if you are an international student coming from any country other than Canada, international health insurance is mandatory. If you are an international athlete, including a Canadian athlete, health insurance is also mandatory as well. But for our Canadian non-athletes, there is a separate opt-out option on your MyNU. So you would not go through this portal. It would be a separate portal. We can go to the next slide, please. And then Katie's going to talk about any options for the remaining balance. And then we can answer questions once we're through.
Yeah, thanks, Jacob. Just a couple. So after you do get the bill, and see what the remaining balance is. Now, hopefully, again, you already know approximately because of the cost breakdown we provide in the financial aid offers. But there are a couple of different options you can look into for covering that balance. Again, Jacob already talked about payment plans you could sign up for, and that's certainly an option. A lot of families will do maybe a combination, some of it on the payment plan and others, and part of it with an additional loan. So the first loan option is a Parent Plus loan. This is a federal loan that is in the parent's name. You can apply at studentaid.gov using your FSA ID that you created to sign up on the FAFSA. This is a parent loan, always going to remain in the parent's names. There's no options to like transfer it to a student at any point. This one is typically pretty easy to get, as far as you find out within like 5 minutes if you've been approved or denied, based solely upon pretty much having a good credit score and not having any like bankruptcy or anything like that. So if you get approved, great. You can put in the amount that you are, wish to take out, or put out maximum up to the cost of attendance. If you get denied for this loan, which again is typically based upon not having a good credit score, or again, bankruptcy or something like that, then the student would automatically receive an additional unsubsidized loan in their name. So that's the only other way for students to get any additional loans besides what was already, or federal loans, besides what was already offered in their financial aid package, is if a parent applies for Parent Plus through the federal government and gets denied. There's also some options of if a parent gets approved for the Plus loan and just knows that they wouldn't be able to afford the payments on that, we could try doing an override to get the additional unsub for the student. But you would need to provide some additional documentation for that to the school. So that's one option. You can start applying for the Parent Plus loan anytime after June 1st. That's when our school allows the applications to be open for us. So anytime after June 1st is when you can start applying for the Plus loan. And the other option, the main one, is a private alternative loan or private student loan. So this is going to be in the student's name. It's an educational loan, but they're going to, in like 99% chances or percent of the time, they're going to need a cosigner for this. So, typically it's a parent, it can be a grandparent, another relative. It doesn't have to be a family member, but most times it is, of course. So this is something that will take, it's a little bit longer of a process, can take about 2 to 3 weeks for it to go fully through because there's additional forms and certifications that the student has to sign off on. So I recommend, again, anytime after June 1st, which is really just next week, you can start applying for this. You would apply for the entire year most times. And if you want to start comparing these lenders, you can go to elmselect.com, and you can see a preferred lender list. There's about 6 or 7 different lenders on there. Now, you don't have to go with one of these lenders. If you have like a credit union that you belong to that has a really good loan rate for an education loan, or sometimes parents will use home equity. Like there's a lot of different options you can go with. These are just the 2 main ones. Again, you don't have to go with any of the lenders that are on a preferred lender list. You can certainly go with any other ones that you find. But I do suggest starting that process, June, July, when you start getting your bill, to start looking to see what might be the best for your family. Okay. Here's our contact information for our main offices, student council and financial aid, our main lines, and our emails and our main websites. If you have any, follow-up questions after this presentation, it is being recorded, so it is going to be posted, so you can go back and review. We're going to start going through the chat, so if you have any questions that you want to ask us, please feel free to throw them in there. If there's something we didn't cover that you really wanted to ask us, please do. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'll leave it up there for like another second or two so you can, take down any numbers. Just a note, so we are in our summer hours right now. So we're open Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 4:30, and then Fridays till noon. So tomorrow we're only open till noon. And fun fact, the university is having electrical inspections, I guess. So the entire campus is really shut down. We're all working remotely tomorrow. So please don't try to come to our office tomorrow. We will not be there. But feel free to send us an email or give us a call and we'll be able to get back to you. And if not, it's a long holiday weekend. So next week it will be. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. And we'll start going through questions.
Thanks, you
So
guys.
looks like,
Sure.
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
No, it's
Steph.
okay. Just really quickly, because it was one of the most recent questions I had, and we'll go back to the beginning, but just because we kind of just came off of that. With the first aid book program, are those, I assume you said, Jacob, right, that it's automatically added to the bill and you have to opt out depending on like it's major dependent, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Students can, it's all automatically added to the bill, and then students can opt out if they're not going to utilize the program.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Great, so I can start going through the questions. So if students receive an outside scholarship that needs to be mailed directly to NU, where should they mail it to, name and department? So that would be the student accounts office. So I will put our mailing address in the chat in a moment. And just keep in mind too, sometimes scholarship checks are made out directly to Niagara University and then we just process it. Sometimes it's made out to your student and Niagara University. If that is the case, we would need your student to endorse the check before we can process it too. So if they're local and they want to drop it off, that's fine. If not, you would want to endorse the check, or the student would want to endorse the check before mailing it. Or if that's not something that you're comfortable with, it's certainly something that once your student arrives on campus, they can bring it directly into our office. So I will put our information in the chat. So I believe this is being recorded.
Yes.
So I believe this will be available to watch later. Yes.
Yep.
And then does the deposit apply to student athletes on a scholarship? I will let Katie or Steph.
I believe for student athletes, it's waived, right? If they have a signed NLI.
Correct. Yeah. So
Okay,
official
yes.
D1, yeah, if you're an official Division I athlete, then yes, the deposit is waived. Yep.
I'll take the next one. How do we appeal our financial aid offer? So if you have reviewed your financial aid offer and you think you might need some additional funding, you are welcome to submit an appeal. I will say that if you are comparing us to other schools, be prepared to submit, copies of those other offers. Explain the reasons why you're looking for additional funding. I'll be honest, if you're looking for, like 5,000 to 10,000, it's probably not happening. We feel we already have generous financial aid packages out there. We do have some appeal funds that we can award, but it also depends on how much aid you've already been awarded. So there's a lot of things that we take into consideration on the appeals committee, but you are more than welcome to submit an appeal. You can email it just directly to FAO@niagara.edu, our main email, and it'll be sent to the appeals committee. We meet, we've been meeting every couple of days, I feel like, but at least weekly we meet to respond. So then I got an email about a lock-in tuition rate fee for 4 years. That is the level tuition plan. So it's not a fee necessarily, but it's just that you will be paying $510 more for this current 24-25 year. It'll be $37,700, but then you're paying $37,700 for the sophomore, junior, and senior years as well. So that is what the lock-in is. It's for tuition only. You can do that as long as you're a deposited student in your admissions welcome portal on the left-hand side.
Katie, can you talk briefly about the due dates for the level tuition plan?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Jacob. So there's a hard deadline on this. It is the first week of class at the very end. So off the top of my head, I want to say it's September 1st this year. It's around there, but it's within. So school starts on, that Monday, and like the end of that week, that is the hard deadline. It will be in all the stuff we send out information wise, but it is a hard deadline. If you submit it after that, it will not be considered. You will not be on the level tuition plan.
Thank you, Katie. I'll take this one on the postcard that you may have received for Barnes & Noble about books reduced to $255. That was for the first aid book program. So I think it was just explaining the first aid book program a little bit more. And I do remember seeing this next question, I think, pop up when we were talking about financial aid and the FAFSA, asking if this was for US students only and not Canadian ones. So that information, yes. Katie, did you want to briefly touch on OSAP and how that may work?
Yeah, what we were talking about as far as FAFSA is for US citizens only, or an eligible non-citizen, like a permanent resident. If you are Canadian, you are more than welcome to apply for OSAP. We, do sign off on those forms for either grants or loans through the Canadian government. And then what else? So OSAP, it's really, it's all generated through you. You have to, create your account with OSAP, get the paperwork, send it in to us, and we'll fill it out and then email it back to you so you can upload it into your portal. We unfortunately cannot do any of the uploading on our end. We don't have access to any of that, but we will fill out the forms, and you can, send those up on your own portal. So if we haven't received an accept package, whom do we contact? Just email us. You can email me directly. I'll put in my contact information, just kkosis@niagara.edu. I will pop it in there because that's really fast. Or just general FAO@niagara.edu as well. And we will definitely look into, why you don't have a financial aid offer yet. Again, in order for us to send a financial aid offer, you have to have a FAFSA. So if you haven't done a FAFSA yet, that would be the main reason, because if all you've been offered is, you have your merit scholarship from admissions, we don't have an official package from us. We consider package only when we have your FAFSA on file. But email me, or I'll put it in the chat, or email FAO, and we can look into it for you. Type in my email. 1 second. Okay. And then someone, let's see, what did we do? Oh no, I lost it.
So there's one, I believe, from Tammy in the group that says our daughter didn't receive a welcome package. We're from Canada, but I just want to make sure that what's not sounding confusing, which it certainly can be, that we're talking about the welcome package or the welcome portal. So I have a feeling that might be where I think it would be interchangeable right now. I think the way we're talking about it. So the welcome portal, yeah, I think that's maybe where the confusion is. The welcome portal is where you log it once a student has received their actual acceptance pack in the mail, and they have their acceptance letter and their student ID number. They're able to go in and sign up and log in and build their purple pass account, their portal account, and then that is where it shoots to a lot of different other portals after that, but that kind of becomes your one-stop shop for everything. So that welcome portal, or which I'm wondering if, like I said, there's confusion there. That's where you want to do everything electronically, and that gives you all the instructions if you haven't done so in your accept packet. But we can certainly make sure that we walk you through that if anyone has any questions as well. So.
Yeah, and again, when I'm talking about sending out financial aid packages, that was only if you have a FAFSA on file, so that would be if you're a U.S. citizen. So that'd be why if you're Canadian, you did not get a welcome package for me. As a Canadian citizen, what scholarship and loan should I apply for? Again, OSAP would be the main one that we see students. Unfortunately, scholarship wise through the university, besides like your merit scholarship and maybe some of the other, the ones you might have been awarded through, admissions or whatnot. We don't have a ton on our scholarship opportunity search portal for Canadians. Most of them are for U.S. citizens, but we always accept outside private scholarships. So if you find another foundation or something that you've been awarded, we always take those. And again, Canadian loans mainly would be through OSAP that I'm aware of. Jacob, do you know of any other for Canadian loans?
I'm not aware of anything else other than if you were working with something directly in your country, where the funds were sent directly to you.
Which leads into the next question. Have you had experiences with international students that get loans from their own country? Is there a way to process, or is it mostly case by case basis? Yeah, Jacob, well, you've seen
Yeah.
a few come in, right?
Yeah, we've seen a few, definitely case by case basis, and it's typically, I feel like there were a couple forms we may have had to fill out on the student's behalf. Again, case by case basis, depends on the country, the lending institution, and typically it would be something where the funds were sent directly to the student, and then the student would then make payment to the university. So I would just recommend probably set up an appointment with our financial aid office or our student accounts office, and then we can kind of decide how to best proceed based on your specific situation. So we should probably definitely have like a one-on-one on that one. Also, so the next question is, can we comment on the Canadian rate for tuition this year, same as last year's? So all Canadian students, if you are studying on the Lewiston campus, you pay in US funds. So you pay basically the same as any other international student. So if you're coming from Great Britain, if you're coming from China, if you're coming from Canada, everybody is billed in US dollars and your payment would be made in US dollars. So we partner with 3 international payment processors, TransferMate, Pay My Tuition, and Flywire. They all essentially work the same way. We like to give our students some options. Sometimes they all pretty much offer the same rate, but you may save a few dollars here or there depending on the partner and what the day is and the exchange rate. So it all varies. So I invite you to look at our website, niagara.edu/payments, and view the international payments section of our website. And it'll kind of explain the different vendors. And like I said, what you would do is if you had a bill for, say, $8,000 US, you would go into one of the international payment vendors portals and you would tell them, I want Niagara University to receive $8,000 US. You would select where you are paying from, like your home country or your home currency. So for instance, if you were paying from Canada, based on what the exchange rate was between US and Canadian funds at that very day, they would give you a quote of what the payment would look like, and they would give you your different payment options. So depending on what country you're paying from, you're going to have different payment options. The most common is like a bank transfer and e-check, but sometimes depending on the country and the vendor, pay by credit card, Alipay, different types of things. So again, the rate is going to depend on what it is that day. And when you initiate a payment with the international payment processor, it is going to lock in that rate for you for, I believe, 3 days to basically give you some time to it downloads everything for you. And then there's some documents that you would typically upload to your bank, and your bank would wire funds in your home currency to the payment processor, and then the payment processor would send it on to Niagara University. So just to clarify, all students do pay in US funds, including Canadian students. If a student has a 529 plan, how are those dispersed? You would initiate a payment with your 529 plan administrator. Sometimes they may require you to upload a bill, which you can download an on-demand statement from our billing system. It'll have our logo, all of our information on it, and your student's information. And then they would be able to initiate a payment to Niagara University. Typically, 529 payments are sent in the form of check to the university, and then we would process it as a payment on account. Every once in a while, we receive those electronically, but it's you initiating that through your administrator and then just uploading some information, typically a bill. Katie, I will let you take this one about the Parent Plus loan.
Sure. I also have one that was sent to me directly, but I'll just read it out loud too. Someone applied for the Vincentian Scholarship but never heard anything. So as far as I know, yes, they have already been selected. I do believe they might have been waiting after the plunge program at the right before the semester starts, maybe select one more. So yes, I've already sent out, I think there's only one or two. I've already sent those out for who was selected. So if you did not get an updated financial aid offer with that in it, then you're most likely not selected. But definitely contact campus ministry for any additional information on where that stands. Stephanie, you have anything for that one?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I had the same direct message to me too, and
Okay.
at this point, they've been selected. But please, I mean, actually, I prefer, you can really just come right to me if you have questions about it. I put my email in the chat. I work pretty closely with them as they're making the selection. So if that is the case where they might be, selecting another one, you're happy to, answer any questions that you might have. You're welcome to reach out to me too. So thank you.
So would Parent Plus loan interfere with employer loan forgiveness in the future if the loan is in the parent's name versus a student employee? I guess I'm a little confused. So is it federal loan forgiveness you're talking about, or something for like your own employer? If it's through your own employer, you would probably want to check with them to see what their requirements are. Maybe like just your own loans that you got for school would be forgiven, and not the parent one taking out on behalf of students. So unfortunately, I'm not entirely sure. If you have more, and then if you want to follow up on that, just let me know.
Ones now and they're still at the top.
Okay. All right, Jacob, where do I go to pay the bill? Oh, did you already respond to that one?
So it was another question on the same topic. But I did put our link to our website in the chat. So if you do have further questions though, definitely reach out to our office, and if we need to have a one-on-one about what the best payment option may be for your situation, we can certainly do that. And then the next question, will there be a link or something for the Zoom call they can access to rewatch? I believe so, yes.
Yep. You already talked about
And
529 plans.
we talked about 529 plans. I believe we addressed the question about the Vincentian Scholarship.
Yep.
Can you use financial aid for CLEP tests?
So only if so CLEP tests are not something that's charged directly on your bill, so it would not be something that you could use directly for your financial aid for. Now, if you happen to get a financial aid refund based upon taking out loans or something, then of course that's up to you to use that, whatever. But as far as I know, CLEP tests are not charged directly onto the student's account.
And no, I can confirm that they're not charged directly to the student's account.
Thank you. So if you didn't receive TAP, but now you think you might be eligible, do you need to reapply? So what we've been told from New York State, from HASC, is that if you already applied and were denied based upon the old 80,000 cutoff, you don't have to reapply. They're going to re-sweep all the applications and then readjust it. So if you've already applied and got denied saying your income was too high, they're going to go through those probably not until June or July. If you haven't applied though, yes, go ahead and apply, and then it'll kind of be gone through the normal process.
Does the deposit get waived for D1 athletes, apply to Canadian students also? And if we paid our daughter's deposit, how do we refund this? Would that be something we would refund, or would it be, typically what we would do is once charges were posted to the student's account and their scholarships are posted, we would also apply the deposit to the account. And then if it created an overpayment, then a refund would be issued at that time.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you have scholarships or grants for people with disabilities and or mothers, Canadian transfer student? There is a a couple disability scholarships with our Academic Success Center. I don't believe you have to have financial need for at least one of them. So you can, reach out to them to see if, because you have to apply. Typically freshmen don't get it, but sophomores, juniors, and seniors I have seen receive that scholarship. So you can reach out to them to inquire about how to apply for that, after they've been here for a year. Then someone says, so I did my financial aid. This is a direct message, but I didn't accept it at my end because I'm waiting for HEAP, but there's a deadline for that. So I know they're working on the HEAPs, or NUOP as we call them here in Niagara, financial aid packages and acceptances. So if you're still waiting on that, you don't have to go in and accept your financial aid yet. It's okay, you can wait. If you're talking about as far as the admissions deadline for June 1st, Stephanie can talk about this, but there might be an extension that you can potentially go on.
Or just the deposit itself?
Well, yeah, if they're asking about a deadline for admissions deposit past June
Absolutely,
1st.
there's no problem whatsoever. So yeah, we usually honor them in like 10-day increments. So if you are in touch, I mean, so you reach out to myself or your specific admissions advisor, who's probably been in close contact with you, we can add you to the deposit extension list, no problem at all. It's usually in 10-day increments. And if it is, especially if it's in regards to like our NUOP program, we know that just like with the FAFSA, with everything else, that piece has kind of been delayed as well, having to get all that information into. So yeah, it's no problem at all. Just letting us know we're very flexible with that.
I was also wondering about grants for students who have a disabled parent. So the scholarships I was talking about before are for students with disabilities themselves. As far as I know, we don't have any scholarships for disabled or students who have parents who are disabled that I know of off the top of my head. You might want to check if like sometimes New York State has scholarships for disability services. So you might want to look into that. Canadian students need to apply for the FAFSA. Nope, you're not allowed to. Well, you can, but it's going to be an invalid FAFSA. So no, the FAFSA is only for U.S. citizens or eligible non-citizens, like a permanent resident of the United States. So if you do not have dual citizenship, do not file the FAFSA. It would just be wasting your time, unfortunately.
And I'll take the next one. So if I've made 2 deposits, 300 for enrollment and 100 for housing, is it normal that my account balance is currently at negative 400? Yes, because we have not assessed any charges for your student. So charges will not be assessed until July. So probably after the 4th of July holiday, they'll start seeing charges be applied and bills will get finalized by mid-July. And then once those charges are assessed, that credit from your deposit will be applied towards those charges as a payment. Next question is, I understand that we're billed in US funds, but we're told last year that all of our costs would be frozen at $1.30 US exchange rate. Is this not the same for this year? It is not the same for this year. So all new students coming from Canada that started their enrollment in the summer of 2024 or later, they pay directly in US funds. So you would pay through an international payment processor, and whatever the exchange rate is at that time that you make the payment, that is what you would pay. We no longer freeze the exchange rate for any student. That is a program that is not available to any new student.
Well, I think that took us through all the questions. If anybody has anything else, pop them in now before we sign off, because we're almost at the hour, I think. And I don't want to jinx it, but we did get past that 40 minutes, I think.
We did. I was
so
very
yeah.
relieved. Yes, we're good.
Yeah, so any last minute questions, please feel free to pop them. I don't know why I'm saying pop, but pop them into the chat. Again, our contact information is, on the slides, and then we have it in here. So if you think of anything as you go along, if you want to set up an appointment with our office, again, in person or Zoom or a phone call, feel free to do that. We will set something up. At this point, it'll be for, next week after the Memorial Day holiday.
That's great. Thank you so much. Any questions you can think of? I mean, please utilize all the content information that's in the chat for admissions towards me, and obviously student accounts and financial aid for Katie and Jacob, who've been great. So, but anything you can think of, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to make it as easy as we can for you, because it's been it is okay, right? Disastrous / mishappy year. So we're
I know.
trying. Yeah.
So the hockey coach when I recruited my son for this year said the exchange would be frozen at 1:30 and told us again about 8 weeks ago. That is misinformation, unfortunately. They should be well aware that this has been in the works for months and months and months, that this was not going to be happening. So you can talk to athletics, but from our standpoint, Jacob, I think can agree with this that we have been directed that there is no more
There's-
the exchange gap.
Yeah, there is no exchange cap, and that has been the policy for 7 months now. So that individual should have been well aware. So that was misinformation, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. And I'll also make sure that we have an athletic liaison in our admissions office. So I will make sure that she reiterates that to the coaches because she talks with them probably the most out of anyone on our team. So I'll make sure that she gets that point across too.
Is there a
Then-
deposit due for housing?
It's included in, so if you made your admissions deposit and you've indicated to our admissions team that you are going to be living in the residence halls, then you should be good. So not a separate deposit needed, no. And if you're unsure, you can always reach out to your admissions counselor and they can double check that for you. And if you didn't indicate that you were going to be dorming and you want to, we can definitely update that for you.
Yeah, simply the same thing, let us know. And if anyone, I mean, I highly doubt that you haven't been in some, or your students maybe more so than you, haven't been in some kind of contact with your admissions advisors. If you are not sure who that might be, either reach out to me and I will guide you the right way, or on our website, there's a Meet the Admissions Team page that has a breakdown of everyone's territory and all the local high schools that they're responsible for. So very easy to find. You can email them. There's a link right there directly right from that area of the site. So if you want to find someone there, you can find it that way too. So easy to find whoever you might need.
One of the last things I will say before everybody we get off is so please make sure to attend summer orientation if you are able to, as Jacob and I, along with our assistant directors, will be doing a presentation on, financial aid and student accounts. And we cover this and so much more. Like we go into so much more detail during that presentation. It's very informative and very important that you attend those sessions if you're able to make it during summer orientation, as I'm sure questions will come up between now and then. And we really do go into a lot more depth and more details during those presentations. All right. I don't think there was any other questions.
No, but really, I mean, great, good variety, great questions. I'm sure probably answered for a lot of people that maybe weren't asking. So thank you. But yeah, so this is being recorded. So if you need to look back on it, you'll be able to do that. And please just, reach out, like we said, keep saying it, but really anything you might need, we're here to help. So thanks for joining us tonight. I hope you had a lot of questions answered and you feel a lot more well-informed about everything, and hope to see you certainly not only for summer orientation, but to welcome you in the fall. So thank you for coming, everyone.
Western Canada. Yeah, everyone can jump up. I'll answer this one. So course selection. So students are actually put into courses automatically for their first semester. So they will get their schedule. If they can't attend summer orientation, Stephanie, you might know this better than I do. And then they can review that. And if they need to make any adjustments, they can. But the courses will be selected for them ahead of time.
Yeah. So, and I have to say, because this is kind of a big fear for a lot of families and parents, which is completely understandable. When you are in that welcome portal and you're filling out different forms and it's asking you to select classes, please know that that is not set in stone. It's basically just like an opinion, really, of us asking what you might be interested in. They're called freshman friendly courses. And we ask you to select some just so that your advisor has a guide of what to schedule you and how to just kind of get everything in line that you might need, and kind of take your interest in mind too. So please don't be worried about that. That's not a set in stone when you pick those classes. It's just kind of an interest-based thing. So please don't let it scare you. Also, please know that yes, your schedule will be pre-made for you, but you will have the opportunity. This is another reason why it's so important to go to some orientation. You will have the opportunity in orientation to sit down with your department and your advisor to go over your schedule, and any changes that need to be made will be able to happen there. So you will be able to be face to face with someone and talk about your schedule. So don't let that scare you at all. We get that question a lot. So yeah, so you can go ahead and fill that out, and it's nothing too binding, so don't worry.
Okay, I think that's it now. Sorry.
All right.
That's it. Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, you guys were
All right,
great.
have a good night,
Have
everyone.
a good night,
Have a great night,
everyone. Thanks.
everyone. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
Bye.